In this video, we're going to talk about correlation and specifically in soccer and why there's such an edge right now, especially when you play it on Prizepicks and other various DFS apps. Correlation in soccer is extremely strong, unlike some other sports where correlation maybe not so much. You take a look at NFL, passing yards are extremely correlated with receiving yards when they play in the same team. And then we take a look at something like MLB where total bases are correlated but not as strong as maybe NFL or soccer. The reason I bring up these examples is because soccer really trumps every other sport in terms of correlation. And better yet, some of these DFS apps allow correlation in sports like soccer, NFL, MLB, whatever the sport may be. But specifically for these major DFS apps where payouts are not altered, not changed, not shifted based on correlation, this is where you should be taking advantage of correlation. So in front of me, I have an example from the other night where we had a slip pop up from the DFS correlation tool, which we'll discuss a little bit later in this video. But it recommended all the overs for specific players in regards to the player props that had to do with shots assisted or shots. And on the other side, we recommended the over for the opposing goalie. And I'm going to show you why this makes sense. So without knowing any of the players or the players' teams that they play for in this matchup, let's actually take a look at the box score here real quick between La Plata, that's on the left side, not even going to try to pronounce the actual name of the team, and Corinthians on the right side. So as you can see, La Plata won 1-0. In order to win the game, you have to maintain a very high time of possession. You have to get a lot of shots, a lot of passes. You have to produce a lot of offensive firepower, right? Like that makes sense. It's similar to hockey, even NBA. Like you have to control the flow of the game, right? So let's think about this logically. When taking a look at the box score here, 1-0, obviously La Plata won. So we're going to assume before scrolling down that they produce a really good offensive performance in this game and they control the pace of the game, all that stuff, right? So you can assume all the offensive stats are going to be up. They're going to be boosted in this matchup, right? By just looking at the score. And we're going to go ahead and scroll down and see if that's true. And it is. Shots were very much dominated in this matchup, right? 30-7. Shots on target 11-1. Like that's a complete bloodbath when you take a look at it and look at it from a broader perspective. Possession 64% to 36%. Passes 622 to 368. Pass accuracy doesn't really matter, neither does the rest of the stuff. But if you take a look here from passes upward, these are player props assigned with any specific player that's really on Prizepicks. So if we take a look back here at our screenshot, we have shots assisted, shots, and even passes as another specific player prop on Prizepicks. And then we have opposing goalie saves, right? So let's use logic here and talk this through. If one team is dominating the pace of the game and they're getting a lot of shots, then they're also getting a lot of shots assisted and passes. And that means that the opposing goalie is getting more saves, right? So as you can see, there's a heavily correlated combination by taking all overs of the team that's dominating the time of possession and also the overs for the opposing team goalie saves. This is the edge in soccer. And then on the flip side, if we take a look at the opposing unders for every single stat that we just looked at, it's a complete flop, right? Like everybody hit their overs. So the edge within soccer DFS correlation is not predicting what team is going to do what. It's following the flow of the game and looking at the game script. And the really cool part about Prizepicks is that they don't alter your payouts based on correlation. So I flipped over the Prizepicks here, and as you can see, I took all the overs based on the exact same thing we just explained on the last screen. Of the same team, we took the over on shots while also over on shots assisted and pass attempted for the same team. And then the opposing goalie, which we hit the over on goalie saves because more shots that go to the goal, more goalie saves, right? Anyway, as you can see here, payouts are not shifted. That is how this works. Anyway, so finding the correlation is half the battle, right? But then also comparing sportsbooks lines and also finding the starting lineups for soccer is the other half of the battle, right? So we have to find discrepancies within the market that make sense. Like which of these correlated lineups are the softer ones to hit? And that's exactly what our DFS correlation tool does. It finds the starting lineups. It finds the softer correlated side of either side. And then it recommends it based on the starting lineups. And you'll see a lineup populate about 30 minutes to an hour before game start. Obviously, there's a game at 6 o'clock, and I'm recording 30 minutes before the game starts, so you won't see a lineup here. And you'll also get that exact same lineup, that correlated slip, based on market discrepancies via email as long as you toggle this on. One of the questions I get the most about this tool is why they are recommended a certain slip at one point, and then about 15 minutes, 5 to 10, 15 minutes later, they'll receive another lineup that looks completely different. It's literally the exact opposite. So let's use an example. Let's say player A is associated with a correlated lineup, but his shots are set to, 1.5, right? And then, I'll use an extreme bumped example. Let's then turn around and say his shots are bumped to 2.5. Like, based on our market discrepancies, that 2.5 number now does not make sense to hit the over on. So then we're going to turn around and we're going to recommend a correlated slip with maybe his unders. Because again, the edge here is not so much the market discrepancies, it's the correlation itself. And we're not going to try to predict the flow of the game because you only become a long-term losing bettor if you predict it that way. So anyway, based on the actual projections and based on the market, we're going to recommend a slip based on the edge at that specific time. If that edge is then gone about 5 to 10, 15 minutes later, we're going to turn around and recommend a whole different slip. Now, keep in mind, soccer correlation only works on some specific DFS books. They do not work on other dynamic changing platforms like Hot Streak, like Fliff. You have to be able to play the edge on books that don't alter their fixed payouts based on correlation. Prizepicks to name one, and also Underdog. I also get the question, is correlation more risky than betting on discrepancies? And that totally depends on obviously the discrepancies within the market. Regardless, correlating plays is not risky. Going 0 of 5 does not mean you played that slip wrong. It just means you're on the wrong side of the correlation in the game script. Imagine playing two different types of slips, right? One goes 0 of 5 and then the next one goes 5 of 5. Would you be okay with those results? I would hope so. And again, not every single sport is as correlated as soccer. Like obviously NFL, pretty correlated. But soccer, you can literally pair entire combinations of lineups together. Why would we show you less profitable correlated sports when we can start out with the most correlated sport of them all? Anyway, guys, hopefully this video was helpful. If it was, please do hit that subscribe button, notification bell, and of course, smash that like button for all of our future soccer content. With all that being said, have a great rest of your day, and let's cash.